Welcome to Far East Wargaming, bringing you another Heresy Thursday. I'm Richard, your host, and once again joining me is Jason.
Hello everyone, glad to be back once again.
So for this week, we've got a quick Heresy Thursday to go over something that was released last week, and that is the new Sons of Horus character, Tybalt Marr. Yet another Sons of Horus character for us to see.
I am intentionally not going to go down that path. All right, we can beat this herd of horses to death every single time a Sons of Horus or Imperial Fist character is released, and I am not going to do that anymore. That is my vow. As far as my reaction to this model, I like it. I like it a lot. Let's see where I start. It's in Mark 4, which I think is another great sign that we're having different marks besides the Mark 6. He's got the Mark 4 legs that you can see very easily, as well as the chest and torso and the backpack. It's very easily identifiable as that particular mark. Depending on how the shoulder pads and arms are molded together or not, are the pads separate or are they part of the arm? We don't know. We've seen that with some models. And how that icon on the backpack is actually mounted. This is a good basis for conversions, believe it or not, right? The eagle on the greave as well as the chest is very, very EC appropriate, so I could see this being turned into an EC character. I could see it being turned into a black shield. I could see this being turned into a lot of different character models, depending on, again, how the arms and the shoulder pads go together, and whether or not they're part of the torso or the cape, etc. Yada yada yada. I don't think it's too ostentatious. I think it's the right level of detail that we would expect out of a character model, and not something that goes into 40k territory. I love the blade. I think the blade is a cool design. It's got the combination of the wicked edges, the Eye of Horus built into it. Yeah, I'm a big fan, actually, of this particular model. I could even see that twin axe shoulder pad having use in an Imperial Fist army, as if they didn't need more. But again, I'm not going to say that anymore. I like the model. I don't have actually a lot of complaints about this model at all. I think it looks really, really, really good. Lots of conversion potential. I'm a fan. I like this.
Look, I see what you're saying about the model itself. It's a well-sculpted model, I'll give you that. I do like that it is in Mark 4. Personally, I think there's still too much Sons of Horus on this for viable conversion. The eye, I'm guessing it's not going to be a sculpted eye. It's definitely a painted eye, I'd say, for this. So it could potentially be used as gems. But still, the eagle on itself, I find, is going to be very hard to be adapted to other 30k armies, because they weren't really allowed other than the Emperor's Children. I think that was kind of part of the lore. For me, anyway, that's how I see it. I do like some of the design choices. I think the head is very unique and generic there. So you can be used for any force. The sword is a nice take on a Praetor's blade. I think can definitely be used. I think you can paint that eye into a gem. He has quite a unique bolter, which I'm not a huge fan of because of the sight on this. I find it very confusing design choice that is going around Games Workshop, where Space Marines who, according to all the lore, all the books, are auto-targeting in their helmets suddenly need scopes down the end of their bolters to be able to hit things. On a sniper rifle, I get it. On a bolter, I really don't get that design choice. But it's been there. And I think you're going to need to shave off quite a bit at the end of the cape to get that Horus signia off the end of there. And since this is going to be in resin, shaving resin to me is always a very precarious thing to do, because I think, one, it's going to be easy to take off too much and then you're in trouble. But yeah, other than that, I like the fact that we're getting a larger version of a Mark IV armor. Again, it's slightly different from the older ones we've seen in terms of the studding, how they've placed them and how many studs are on this. And we don't have any Mark VI toes, so I guess little blessings there. I can't really see the backpack, but I'm guessing they've kept it very standard for a new version of Mark IV backpack. But as a model himself, look, we're on mixed opinions. As a rules for this model, I think it's pretty devastating.
Yeah, it is. If you look at the sample rule that we have here for his close combat weapon, which is called the Culling Blade, now it is strength user, so probably going to be strength 4, but it is AP2. It is not unwieldy, so that's at initiative, which is fantastic. It has Fleshbane, which means it's wounding most targets on a 2-up, which is absolutely ridiculous, so the strength 4 doesn't really matter. Yes, the Fleshbane, you have to re-roll it against things like Contemptors or something like this. Murderous Strike 6. This is basically, in my opinion, a Paragon Blade on steroids because of the fact that it's AP2 at initiative, and then that Fleshbane just makes it even better. So yeah, that's a really nasty weapon. He has another rule that's kind of teased here, which is called By the Hunter's Moon. Once per battle during the opposing player's movement phase, he can do a shock assault, which means when he does, anybody within 12 inches of him has to take a pinning check. That can be pretty tasty. That's a little free rule there. An army whose warlord has this trait can make an additional reaction in the assault phase. So I guess this is his own special warlord trait if you take him as your warlord, and I'm sure you're probably going to in the rules of the new book, because the new book is all about the Black Shields, in addition to, of course, some of the other rules. And Tybalt Marr in the novels was the guy that was actually chasing down the Black Shields at Horus's direction. Yeah, I like it. And I think it's very appropriate to be released at the same time as we're seeing Black Shield's characters and the new rulebook. It makes sense from a fluff perspective. So yeah, big fan of this model. I'll probably just say one last thing about the modeling aspect of it. I can see this torso and body also being used for Ultramarines, who did use eagle symbols. Yeah, I do think it has a lot of use, and that head could be easily swappable to other models. We don't know if this model has a helmet. Maybe, maybe not. I would be surprised if it doesn't have a helmet. But yeah, I like it. Looks to be tasty rules and looks to be a pretty tasty model.
That sword there, you're right, it is a souped up version of a Paragon Blade, because now the modern Paragon Blade only has a +1 strength, putting you at +5 here. Fleshbane basically puts you at more or less +2, and is actually even better against Contemptors and monstrous creatures, because yes, you're having to re-roll that 2+, but that's still better than fishing for 6s, or fishing for 5s if you're strong enough to fish for 5s there. But most of the time, a Paragon Blade is fishing for a 6 against a Contemptor, and looking definitely for that 6+ murder strike to do those D3 wounds. This one here, same thing, got a 6+ murderous strike. Fleshbane, AP2, and I think the AP2 is the killing part there. It's at initiative, which just, it's overpowered to me. I think it's going to be more favoring the Sons of Horus once again. They are the poster boys of this latest edition. I completely get this. And as Jason says, he chooses not to keep going on about the release of these characters. I will be on your side to continue talking about how we don't need any more. I do get what he was saying, that this is the appropriate character for the book being released. And that is all fair points. I would just say, if it's in the release schedule that you're going to be releasing a specific Sons of Horus character for the last book, don't release earlier Sons of Horus characters for no reason whatsoever. Again, we have legions which are missing. We've had such good progress from Games Workshop and their team by releasing other legions over the last few weeks. Just finish off releasing for the rest of the legions before you release any more Sons in green, please. That's all I'd ask of you guys at Games Workshop there. We do love seeing new models, but some of the legions are still in need of a bit of love. I'm going to say that his warlord trait is going to can be quite overpowering as well, because forcing a pinning check on every unit within 12 inches of him, you place him, an attacking guy, something like this, you are looking at placing him in the middle of the enemy force there somehow, either quickly through a assault of some sort, but pinning, especially at night, especially if you can have stuff with fear around you, is deadly on the current low leadership values we have with most of these things. And this is now mass pinning. It's very much like when you deep strike in and you're, instead of 6 inches, you're getting 12 inches, so even double that range. I could see this causing some havoc at some of these legions. Again, it's countered by a lot of things. It's countered by stubborn. It's countered by fearless and all this. But in a modern Heresy game where we're working off leadership 8, leadership 7s on average, with the ability to shell shock, pin, and all this stuff. More pinning. Nice to see. Going to be horrible to play against. I think that's my 2 cents on that rule there.
Yeah, if I put on my tactics hat real quick, there was just some ideas that were coming in my brain. You put this guy with a chaplain, which causes fear now under the new rules. I think chaplains are fear 1. You put them together, I don't know, in a pod. Could you put him in a termite with another unit? Don't know. I mean, these are just some different ideas that are coming on my head on how you can deliver him close into the enemy. But if you combined him with that chaplain and night fight, and you somehow manage to get within a little 12-inch bubble of multiple enemy units, there's actually a pretty good chance that you're going to pin a few. So that to me is pretty strong. So this looks really, really tasty. Now, because we don't know the rest of his rules, we don't know if he has something like infiltrate or scout. We don't know any of that. Remains to be seen. So it's all just conjecture at this point. But I think that warlord trait is pretty good, forcing all those multiple pinning checks, especially if you have a way to debuff. Yeah, I like it. I don't want to keep saying the same thing all over again, but I do like the model. I do like the rules that we've seen. I do like the release along with the new book and the new Black Shield characters. I think this is a win this week. I give it a thumbs up.
I will say I am looking forward to this new Beta Garment book because it is bringing a whole bunch of rules in that we have been missing. I very much am looking forward to the Black Shields rule. We don't have a Black Shields army per se yet for the channel, but it's definitely something we can adapt. And I think it was one of the more special and closer to heart for a few people in the previous edition, just because of the way the lore is and how it all came about. Yeah, we'll see when that finally gets released. But yeah, only a very quick Heresy Thursday for us today, because we really just wanted to talk a bit about this one character that came out. He has a lot of discussion. I've seen some other channels talk about him and the pros and cons. And we wanted to get our, I'll say, unbiased 2 cents. We're taking two polar opposite sides here, Jason and I, on the preference of this guy. Let us know in the comments what you think of this new character for the Sons of Horus. Whether you'll be picking him up for your Sons of Horus army, I'm sure you will if you are a Sons of Horus player, or you'll be picking this guy up in resin for some conversion ideas you may have for your current legion. Let us know. We're definitely interested to find out. Like I said, Jason thinks there's a lot of conversion ability here. I do like the sculpt of this model for just the sculpting factor. I personally doubt I'll be picking up this model for a use in any of my forces. But then again, my forces don't really adapt to this.
Yep, nothing else for me as well. Just as always, like, subscribe, ring the bell, leave your comments. We always enjoy interacting with the audience for your comments. Yep, I think I don't have anything else this week on this one. Pretty solid for my opinion. And I think thank you for those of you again that are listening and participating. We really do enjoy that. And as always, we will catch you on the next one.